Gaming dates back to the time when it was a kingly affair, decider of victories in wars, and also a form of royal celebrations. Today, even though the purpose of gaming and the gamer profiles have become a lot more diverse, the essence stays intact even on our portable devices. In our panel today, our esteemed panelists will take us through this epic evolution of the concept of gaming and shed light on how mobile gaming is the present and the future of the gaming industry. Today on the panel, we have Mr. Anurag Sachdeva, Director of India and Southeast Asia at Rovio Entertainment. He's the man responsible for creating a nest for the game Angry Birds in the country. Next, we have Mr. Rohit Roy, a celebrated actor and the man who started the game IQ Trivia Live with actress Shilpa Shetty, which went on to become a huge hit amongst the Indian audiences. Next, we have with us Mr. Amin Rozani, the founder and MD at Spartan Poker, the biggest poker gaming company in the country. He's also the brains behind India Poker Championship, which is now one of the largest championships in the world. Next, we have with us Mr. Bhavin Pandya, the CEO and founder at Games 24/7. He's the man responsible for creating the most popular Rummy and Teen Patti games, Ultimate Teen Patti and Rummy Circle. Next, we have with us Mr. Sandeep Rao, CEO and founder of OneSource. He holds the recognition of being in the Exchange for Media, PR and Corporate Communications 40 under 40 list. He has also launched several international games in India. Welcome everyone.
Thank you.
Honored to have you all here. So to kickstart the discussion, my first question to all of you here is that how has the gaming industry evolved from traditional video games to PC gaming and now to portable devices like our mobile phones? How do you think the market players have adapted to this change?
The infrastructure has been created in a manner like the mobile ecosystem, is that you have created so much of infrastructure for gaming. It's like such a powerful device which has gone into hands of multiple people that it's become very easy for people to start playing. It's like 2009 when we came up Angry Birds, it's like we kind of made a gamer out of everybody who had a smartphone in his or her hand out of it. And the transition is happening as in how the speeds are becoming better, the devices are becoming better. More and more people are able to, showcase their talent and engage more on this platform.
What I came to understand is that because of the boom of smartphones in India and across the globe, that has given a major fillip to the industry. Everybody's now, it's now accessible. I mean, I bought an Xbox or I bought a Donkey Kong, I'm talking about my time, or play Snakes. And now everything can be played via your phone.
2010, about 20 million people were gaming, right? The major players globally in console gaming, which is the PlayStations and the EAs of the world, those folk turned around and at some stage said, boss, this is not working out for us, simply because the pie is not large enough for us to have a share of it. Switch to 2018, and all of a sudden we've got about 250 million gamers, right? And a large part of that, exactly as was said, is because of the fact that the infra has come into place, right? Data has become cheaper. We're talking about online gaming. The word online doesn't exist without the infra being in place.
Just an anecdote here, right? Back in 2009-10 when we started, right, we'd really worry about the big festivals that come, right? Diwali and, Sankranti in the south, where we'd be like, okay, people be away from their computers, they won't be able to play. And now that problem is non-existent because everyone has their mobile phones. It doesn't matter where you are and what you're doing. You can always pull out your mobile phone and play a game.
Another dimension to the evolution is earlier we used to play with the computer. Now it's become peer-to-peer. Again, infrastructure has become so beautiful to facilitate this particular format.
So as we all know, gaming is no more a solo experience. It's become more collaborative and inclusive thanks to the change in technology and also, of course, affordable internet, right? In fact, today, the success of a game is determined by how strong a community it can form. So I want to know what goes on behind forming such strong communities as far as gaming is concerned.
So from a marketing and PR perspective, I'd say most brands, they've all moved from selling a product to selling an experience. Community building is a large part of making something proliferate as far as any industry is concerned.
Well, I think it's like more to do with the human behavior, because if you see the communication per se, it's like the oldest means of communication was word of mouth, which is
Yes.
also the latest one right now. It's just that on a digital platform you're doing it. When mobile gaming started to happen, it was kind of made everybody very inward, but that's not the right human behavior, and it has to evolve. Like any other product would have evolved, it had evolved to a situation where it's like, I don't want to play alone. I want to play with my friends. I want to play with my virtual friends, and that's how
Correct.
the social behavior happened around it. So it's
Just
like-
going off on a tangent, isn't that also a little detrimental about it talking about real life communities?
Oh, you're
it's
absolutely
taking
right.
away. It's taking away. Like my parents would complain that you're not spending enough time with us. You're either constantly on your phone or you're playing your Wii or your Xbox. You're playing with your virtual friends, but you're not playing with your real family.
But
Just
yeah,
asking.
no, it's a very valid point. But in fact, I'm a kind of an optimist. I would want to say is like, when you're spending a lot of time on the road, so you can be with your family even before like you have reached your house. So technically, it's like I have a 7-year-old, so I can start playing with him, whereas he's in the living room and I'm on the road. So it's like online, you can have that.
So you should make that time to play with your virtual family and the
it
real
is-
family play with.
So it is like, obviously also could be your virtual friends as well, but it's very much to do with the intrinsic behavior of every human. That's what I believe has led to the social aspect of the gaming person. That's my opinion.
I also think what has happened is that with us becoming a society that wants to be on the cutting edge and forefront of everything, if someone is doing something, I must also do it. And then when that spreads, right, Acha, that person is playing that game, let me also try it out. And then let me tell 5 other people about it, and then they can also try it out. And so I think that's how this community building is happening very, very actively these days.
Another dimension to human behavior is that these games have made it so aspiring. There are competitions where you can win prizes, where you can earn a living out of it, and automatically people are making communities out of it. For example, Rummy, be it poker, be it even PUBG. Right? There's so many competitions around it. Again,
That's right.
automatically creating a community.
So my next question is directed to you, Anurag. Ludo and Snake and Ladders and all of these games have always been a part of our offline gaming culture, so to say, right? But a game like Angry Birds is something that has been adapted from the West. So how difficult was it for you to establish such a game in India?
Well, Angry Birds became what Angry Birds is, and it became an entertainment brand and didn't just remain as a mobile gaming company. It's primarily because of we kept doing what we felt consumers wanted it. Wherever the consumer was, wherever the Angry Birds fan was, we kept on reaching there, whether it was the classic, whether it was the space, or whether it was the Angry Birds 2 and the various avatars in between. So what happened at the same time was like, as the smartphone revolution was happening, and so if you see probably India market or probably the Asia market, minus exception of a couple of countries, the boom started a couple of years later than the Western world. And that's when the adaptation of or probably the adoption of the game started to happen. So we really had to just take it to the fans. And again, this ecosystem played beautifully for us.
Yeah.
People had been hearing about it. It's a very porous world. It's not, it's not something which is happening in West, stays in West, happening in
Yes.
East, stays in East. So it's like people could hear and people were kind of waiting to let me have this device, let me become a fan, and let me engage with the brand in various forms. And that's what we kept doing around it.
My next question is directed to you, Bhavin and Amin. Games like Teen Patti, Rummy, Poker, they're not very well received by the Indian audiences. So how did you guys manage to popularize your games on mobile platforms, and how did you face the challenge of basically overcoming this perception in the Indian consumers?
So I'll speak about Rummy and Teen Patti. So first of all, Teen Patti, the way we offer Teen Patti is you play casually, which means it's a freemium game. So you buy chips, you play, but you don't really make any money off it, right? It's just to play with your friends, your family. People play occasionally. They'll sort of buy some chips and play for it. They don't really get anything. And so that game has taken off really well just because of that local flavor, right? That everyone's played Teen Patti. So there is no real perception around that because there is no real money to be won, right? So it's fine to play for free, right? When it comes to Rummy, and then Amin can speak about poker, but they're pretty much the same, right? It's these are games of skill. the more people play it, the more they realize that they're actually games of skill, which means that the more skilled player will win more often, right? So then it's like playing a game of chess or a game of bridge or even cricket, right? Where you're putting your skill on the line to say whether you're better than the other person or not, right? And while so the perception has been a slight issue because we do this for real money, it's allowed, it's very legitimate. But the way at least we're dealing with that issue is one, obviously reaching out to the masses and telling them that, look, you try Rummy and you will realize it's a game of skill. But more also through a federation that we formed, right, that goes out there and educates people. And you'll see that there'll be ads, once in the next few months, which will talk about how we are, as an industry, right, the skill gaming industry operating very, very responsibly.
Sure, I think pretty much on the same lines. We also have similar efforts to get it to the people that poker is a game of skill. Well, I would say, like your question was, how did we overcome? I would say it's still a journey. It's still a long way to go. We need to spread it out even more further. But we've constantly putting an effort to keep things like the India Poker Championship. We do the IPC awards where all the best players in the country get awarded. We get people like Vishwanathan Anand to come out at mainstream and say that, I play poker, or probably Chris Gale coming out and say, I play poker. So that way, at least the followers at least look at them and say, okay, these are not the guys who are going to promote something which is not legitimate.
That's right.
But again, it's like a constant
You're still
effort.
fighting for legitimacy in India?
Not in terms of the law, but in terms of the perception.
In terms of the people's perception?
Yeah.
Do you think it's just because it's got to do with cards?
Yes.
My next question is to you, Amin. Do you think that consumer trends are impacting marketing innovations in mobile gaming? And do you think it affects the way we market to our consumers?
Absolutely. Consumer drives everything over here. The consumers are getting more and more demanding in terms of how we market to them. Well, there was a time where one graphic was posted and the consumer used to probably get attracted and make a purchase. But today they want a video. They want a high quality video. They want an interactive video, right? So I guess pretty much the question has the answer that yes, consumer drives exactly how we have to market.
Rohit, this one's for you. We've seen celebrities endorse various products across industries and brands, right? But we've hardly seen a celebrity endorse a mobile game or even a game for that matter, right? You think it's important to have a face associated with a game for it to garner the required attention that it deserves?
I've been part of a show called IQ Trivia Live. It's a regular show. What sets it apart is that we live in a country where we live for celebrities, with celebrities. A show like Big Boss in our country is with celebrities. It's unheard of anywhere in the world. India is driven by celebrity power. Whether you like it, I am very happy with it because I'm on the other side. So I enjoy the being on that side of it. But what sets it apart, like you guys spoke about Chris and a few other people like Vishwanathan Anand, it gives you it makes it bona fide. If I'm hosting IQ Trivia Live, they know that I have a track record as a host. I've been hosting from probably the first or the second such show in India. Back old in the days of DD Metro, etc. I used to do a show called The Price is Right. Similar, you'd win products, people are happy coming and playing. It was a family affair, like how we used to play housey, etc. The moment you put a face onto that, it becomes recognizable. Arey, yaar, Rohit hosts IQ Trivia Live, let's go try it. Somebody here was telling me that every afternoon they'd sit and 4 people would play, because I used to do it twice a day.
Sandeep, your specialty lie in PR. You're one of the most renowned PR people in the country. What do you think about celebrities being a face of a game?
First, let's assume that every game out of 100 is going to work, right? Utopian situation. Then apply the metric of if we have to break the clutter, then yes, there are certain differentiators, whether it be PR, whether it be integrated marketing as a whole, there is something that needs to break the clutter. Yes, I would definitely say that celebrity endorsement works. It can't be somebody who comes, shows his face and walks away. There has to be a certain amount of involvement, right? You can't fit a square peg in a round hole. So if you bring on somebody who is into luxury products and ask them to market Hawaii chappals, it's not going to sell. So it has to be a beautiful fitment of sorts, and that sort of thing definitely works as far as marketers is concerned.
So my next question to all of you is that gaming has always been a very male-dominant industry. But today we are seeing that a lot of female players have also come on board and been a part of mobile gaming. Do you think that this is a trend that is just a phase, or do you think the number of female gamers is going to increase in the future?
Where we look at poker, we've kept poker as a mind sport in the segment of a mind sport. What we've seen is women earlier did not have a lot of opportunities in the physical sports segment, and women are inherently quite intelligent, and hence automatically they're inclined towards a mind sport. So we've seen a lot of women getting involved into poker. But since poker is a really young sport in India, I wouldn't say that there is an upward trend. But yes,
People are joining.
Yes.
I'm going to sort of switch from the real money game to the casual gaming front, where I think our experience has been that it really depends on the game. So take a Candy Crush, for example, right? Incredibly popular amongst women, right? It's popular amongst everyone, but also very, very popular amongst women.
That's
right?
one game I was going to mention. That's the only game I've heard women playing non-stop. At least they used to.
So and we see that, right? And so a lot of it will depend on the game. So in the West at least, and I think some of it is now starting in India, but in the West at least, they have companies that specialize to targeting 35 plus women. They make games that will only target 35 plus women. So they will work with, cute fish or cute pets or cute candies and try to sort of make games out of that, right? That can really be appealing to women. So I think that it's only a matter of time before that comes to India.
Video games were first originally designed only for men and boys. Is it true?
I think the initial games, popular games, were all games with guns and sports. So I guess automatically inclined. They didn't have the pinkish flavor like how Candy Crush.
I don't believe it's probably the color or probably whom we were talking to, but it is like the console gaming where it was primarily very much dominated by guys, but now it's like I would say that it's a kind of what genre of game girls and guys are playing might vary, but it's like it's a one very clear assumption which is happening globally. It is like if anybody has a smartphone, he or she is a potential customer,
correct.
for the gaming to happen. It's like your device is powerful than most of the computers or probably laptops which you carry. So if that is happening, then it is about how do you reach out, and are you creating the right content which tickle the right audience, or probably if you keep creating a content which is just meant for guys, then and you say that women do not play, I think it's wrong.
Stupid, yeah.
I think it's completely
But I still
wrong.
feel I have a different take on our country and the way we are.
Well, you'll have to specifically make games for them.
I'm
yes.
not sure about the numbers, but I will say one thing. Me and my wife, we're both crazy about Angry Birds. Angry Birds is not your typical action game, right? You don't have a sword in one hand, a gun in the other. Yeah. But she beats me hands down at Angry Birds. She also beats me hands down at Need for Speed. Right?
That's because she can't beat you, no? She's beating your Angry Bird. Yeah, you take something.
But the point is, I don't think, even just as you said, I don't think I agree with the pink aspect per se. But then that may also be inherently because I'm against that pink versus blue segmentation that traditionally happens.
Yeah.
Right? But no, I think it's more about targeting the end user, which might be any smartphone user under the sun.
So this brings me to the last question of the panel today. So we've seen a rise in augmented reality and virtual reality games, right? And we've seen that they've become more popular and accessible too. So what do you think is the future of mobile gaming in terms of these newer technologies coming up and taking over the industry by storm?
If you follow entertainment, and gaming is like kind of 60-70% of entertainment on mobile ecosystem. It's like it is almost at par with what people will be downloading on a music, but in terms of paying, it's like 60-70%. But entertainment per se, is moving away from being linear to on demand. Mm-hmm. And I believe that gaming is the next thing which is supposed to move from being linear. It's still very linear that you discover, you download, and you start playing it. You don't like it, then you delete it, you get a new game. That is something which is again supposed to become on demand.
Yes.
And with 5G coming, which is a reality, even like we have invested and we have created a company which is 80% owned by Rovio. It's called Hatch. And we're coming up with first for the kids audience, Hatch Kids, which is like cloud gaming. So
Okay.
it's like less than 100 megs app, but more than 100 games lying on it. You
Oh,
don't
wow.
need to download. It's like you engage with the platform and you play on the cloud. So that will be like on demand. Like press play. I don't like it. I move to the next game. I don't need to discover. I don't need to search. I don't need to download and go about.
Wow.
That's what I believe, that if consumer behavior has to hold true,
Mm-hmm.
why is it that the biggest chunk of entertainment is still very linear in nature? Has to become on demand kind of.
But to your question about augmented and virtual reality, right? I don't know if you guys know of this game called SimCity. Sim stands for simulation, right? This was back in the late 90s, early 2000s, like a huge storm. Like everyone wanted to play that. The US media was going crazy with how this is the next biggest thing that's going to happen to gaming. And it sort of fizzled out, right? And there was an article a few years ago in the Times that also spoke about how augmented virtual reality could also have the same fate, which is that there's a lot of buzz around it, but the infrastructure that has not developed as much as it should to be able to support it.
On the technology front, honestly, I've been visiting the NASSCOM India Leadership Forum for the last 6 years now. And we've been hearing about big data for the last 8 years. AI and ML, honestly speaking, are those monikers that get thrown about by everybody. A lovely example is, in fact, SimCity. There are certain stray examples that work beautifully. And it's inevitable. At some stage, it will happen. Is it going to happen tomorrow? I'm highly doubtful, like Bhavan said.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing those lovely insights with us.
you.
It was great having you all over here on the show. This is Mehak Mathur signing off from Brand Adda.
Kiska Brand Bajega gives you a chance to visit our studios and interact with India's biggest celebrity brands live by answering a simple question.
Who hosted the game show IQ Trivia Live? A. Anurag Sachdeva, B. Bhavan Pandya, C. Rohit Roy, D. Sandeep Rao.
Answers to us by commenting on our Instagram post and following our page at Kiska_brand_Bajega.
The talent in India is so deep, and we just need to encourage more and more people to come in. And I believe at Spotify, as we grow bigger and we have more and more Indian users coming in, and of course the other global users we have, we believe we can take the Indian artists not only within India in a bigger way, but we can take them to the world in a bigger way.